Welcome out to South Field. Our game tonight is between the University of Utah and your BYU Cougars. As is customary here at BYU, we will begin with a word of prayer by Ethan Christensen.
Our dear kind Heavenly Father, we're thankful for this day, and we're thankful for the Heavenly Father in Jesus Christ. We're thankful for this opportunity we have to come and enjoy the game of soccer, and please bless all the athletes that they will be safe and play the best of their ability, and we say things in the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
Now will you please rise and remove your hats for the playing of the national anthem. Accompanying the players onto the field tonight are youth soccer players from Utah Celtic FC. Starting for the visiting youth tonight, number 28, Jack Donahue. Number 24, Will Weiss. Number 20, Daniel De La Cruz. Number 9, Jackson Hanley. Number 19, Jesus Sanchez. Number 26, Tavin Francis. Number 10, Kian Ellensary.
On this beautiful Saturday night, had a little bit of drizzle, now a little bit of partly cloudy skies in the sky with a little bit of sun shimmering through. In other words, great footballing weather, Andrew. It's great to be back with you, my friend.
Yes, sir. It's definitely a great, brisk Saturday evening here at Southfield. Definitely one of a kind night for the Cougars, starting their home opener, third game of the season, which is quite unusual for the Cougars to open on a 3-game road run before they coming back to South.
Yeah, fourth game played. Usually it's maybe 1 or 2 on the road, but a transition that we had going back to last season in the scheduling to get some experience on the road. But now we have our BYU Cougars lining up against the Utah Utes at this point. Starting in goal, you're going to see a lot of new names tonight, ladies and gentlemen, with a lot of changes over from our 5P national champions. Starting in goal is going to be Spencer Bell, Clay Burgesson at left back, Nick Sharp at center back, in a duo with returning center back Dylan Rodriguez, Colton Rouse at fullback, Ammon Euler, James Dunning, Braden Gonder, a familiar midfield lineup that we're accustomed to, with Max Magleby on the left, Kyle Walbrook at the 9, and then Ryan Tetro making his long-awaited return to South after all of last year, effectively out recovering from that ACL injury.
Yeah, Grant, it's going to be obviously a great start to the Cougar season. But it is good to note the Cougars have had quite a bit of turnover to your point here. The entire back line moving on from last season, Dawson Meldrum, Cam Pennock, Isaiah Strong, Tyler Ashby, very strong historical defensive players for the Cougars, and a big change for the Cougars coming into this 2025-2026 season.
Yeah, you know, even having been involved not just with last fall, but as a member of the staff in the spring season, we were undefeated and capped off some strong great wins against some strong sanctions Utah teams. It's very different. So we have a few years, to say the least, Andrew, in front of us where we can continue to develop a strong squad. A lot of these players tonight are having their first real moments in an official competitive game on Southfield. Their second time, if we're going to count the blue and white game that we had a couple weeks ago.
And Grant, let me walk you through what a player's feeling right now. It's your first home game for BYU Cougars, and you are just amped. There's a lot of nerves, especially for these younger players, freshmen. You step onto Southfield, it is a stage. It truly is, Grant.
Yep.
And for a young player to come in and make an impact and get through those nerves, it isn't an easy thing to do.
Yeah, and we both know this, right? Composure is critical. The emotions and the adrenaline and the anticipation are riding high, but being able to curb those and really leverage those in a positive way are going to be the boon, or also the demise of some performances, as we've seen over these years. You know, actually, left back Clay Burgesson reached out to me and said, "Hey, you know, just taking into account yesterday's 5-0 win over UVU, what really is going to drive success for him?" And I said, by extension, not just you, but it's really being able to, from the get-go, establish rhythm, maintain that rhythm and that tempo, and then being able to do what we're accustomed to seeing are lots of goals here at South in the fall.
Yes, sir. Just a little bit of context for you watching at home who have not watched any college soccer this year. A little bit of background on Utah. They're 0-1-1, cumulative 2 goals for, 3 against. I think something, Grant, that we can expect tonight is a little bit of a physical match. Utah, over the last few games, have had 7 yellow cards and even 1 red in those last 2 games. So I think the Cougars can definitely expect a little bit more of a physical table tonight. But hopefully they're able to match that, but not in the Mal sense.
No, and as we get kickoff here with Utah possessing out of the back to start, it's going to be really interesting seeing what type of tactics and approach that they're going to take to the game. 2 years ago, really low block. Last year they actually did try to press quite a bit, and they were split open in that 11-0 home opener. As Ammon Euler intercepts that ball, and it's out here for the initial throw. First foray into BYU territory. The ball is flicked on before Euler is able to recollect possession here. Speaking of Euler on the ball, out to Tetro, and then finding Colton Rouse here. And usually one player who's returning, Colton Rouse, he usually has been deployed up on the wing. This season, the plans are to have him being deployed actually as a fullback. And so it is a little bit of a newer position. Fresh off his mission, Nick Sharp plays Euler, who lifts it over the top here into Tetro. A Tetro header, something that we don't often say before it goes out. Just a little bit too much mustard on that sauerkraut with that bratwurst. Am I right or am I right?
I think you're right, sir.
You know, speaking of sauces, do we want to continue our debate in terms of best Chick-fil-A sauces?
Yeah, I think we're just jumping right into it.
We're jumping right into it. Ball in here into Jesus Sandres. One-on-one with Dylan Rodriguez here. Dylan providing some pressure. Sanders finds himself here in the corner, bodying up, using his physicality, finding the ball in here. And that's a shot smothered by Spencer Bell, but very suspect here from the center backs and just that defensive unit to start, Andrew.
Yeah, it's extremely rare for the Cougars to give up such a great opportunity to begin with, especially so early on in the game. You're really fresh. Definitely a point of concern as we walk into this first half here.
And just for context, those who are tuning in potentially for the first time, but also veterans and longtime BYU fans, in this type of game, you do not want to be giving up as BYU an early equalizer. Then it's just going to incentivize a whole lot of defensive absorption and we hear that term parking the bus as what you would expect, right? Just some miscommunication, a little bit of overzealous pressing from Rodriguez there. And then we can see that gap being exposed. It's a new partnership. Rodriguez was accustomed to coming into that rotation with Isaiah Strong and Cameron Pennock over the last couple of years. Now he is the defensive leader as we have 3 new defenders, more or less, in that unit starting.
Yeah, and it's going to take a minute for this group to kind of get accustomed and used to how each player moves off the ball and creates space. So I think a little bit of rustiness is expected, but Coach Brandon Gillum and staff always expecting that there is some sense of camaraderie and everybody working together, regardless if things are working on the ball.
Yeah, and we see here just in the 4th minute of the game, we haven't really been able to establish much rhythm, and that is something that even in the first half against UVU's club team yesterday, we did struggle a little bit as that glanced header is put into Clayton Bergeson for James Dunning, gives the ball away, is able to recover it, find Eamon Euler, and we see Tetra on the far side off to the races. Euler instead opts to go to Colton Rouse, who then slows down the tempo a little bit. But just the interchange is going to be really key in the midfield, and one thing that we're really focusing on is as we deploy a 4-3-3, not so much a 4-2-3-1, but a singular defensive anchor is having 2 10s, if you will, on the attack. They're going to actually have to start a lot further up the pitch and then check in, not starting their runs a lot deeper, which is an adjustment, especially for someone like Dunning who loves being more box-to-box on the ball. As Bergeson is out here in possession, he's looking for that ball into Magleby, whose name we have not said yet. As that strong tackle comes in, and center referee Jordan Downs is not having much of that. Judging that to be a fair challenge and off Bergeson.
Nick Sharp looking pretty sharp back there with the header.
It was a matter of time before we used that. Not so sharp on that one touch, but he's able to get it from underneath his feet and then play in Rodriguez.
13, that strong center back, sharp center back.
And just a silly giveaway here, though, on that square pass. Intended for Gonder, just looking for that little Saturday, Sunday league touch around here from the Ute player.
And right now, I'd love to see, all right, now Colton Rouse getting a little bit wider there. That's a great
Lovely ball here in towards Tetro. A little bit of pressure, unable to get it under control here. Dunning putting some pressure here, and let's see if we're able to close down as a unit. Rouse gets a foot on the ball, out towards Tetro, into Dunning, out for a throw.
And Grant, last night against UVU, the Cougars had one moment where it was absolutely spectacular. 1-2 touch, moving up the pitch, had a really dangerous point of attack. Today, we're not exactly quite there. That last run was quite promising, though, with a lot of support coming up the pitch.
No, exactly. Rouse into Tetro. He needs to not lay that ball off with his coin bag and put a little bit of foot behind that, though. Just a little bit sloppy, not the type of tempo that we were discussing, in the locker room prior to kickoff, but plenty of football still to be played. Sharp on the ball, surveying his options, opting for Euler. We're going to be saying Euler's name a whole lot, especially in build-out, but just another cheap giveaway here. That's just not the standard that we're used to from some veterans, and that miscommunication between him and Gondor. Speaking of Gondor, we're able to through whom we're able to reconnect through. Euler out here to Bergeson, into Gondor. And we can see, so speaking of just what is the approach going to be employed tonight by those Utes in red, they're just going to be really sitting deep, and it looks like just really at the top of the center circle in the direction of BYU, left to right. That's really their line of press that they're really going to start to be employing here.
And Grant, as a Cougar here, there's no need to do anything extravagant. It's 1-2 touches, maybe a third, and really just making the defense move, tiring them out.
By Bergeson. Sorry about that, Doss. Walbrook gets it off his foot. Back into Bergeson. Attempts to put that through before it's cut out by the U.
I would have liked to see that ball get bounced to Euler before.
Exactly.
It's the easier pass.
Rodriguez spraying that beautifully into Walbrook, but called offside. That's something just over the last couple of games. He's been caught out quite a few times, and just in that type of, especially when you're getting that type of lateral sprayed pass, just watch the line, man. You'll notice, Cougar fans, we're definitely a little bit critical of our own players just because of the standard that we do hold for them, as you know, Doss. And we are not biased one way or another at all.
Never.
That was said with a little bit of sarcastic chagrin, though. Rouse being beaten before he's able to recover slightly, and it's out for a Ute corner.
And you know, Grant, the Cougars, as we're setting up for this free kick, under the tutelage of Coach Brandon Gillum, this is in his tenure of being a coach here, as this ball is swept in. Very carefree.
10 years on, I remember B's first game hearing about it. You were around, yeah, for that first game against Monarchs?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Thinking a lot of changes have been made. A lot of players have come through the program. A lot of titles have been won. And just very sloppy here starting. Like, for example, here in the build-out. Lifted in ball. Tetro's off to the races, but again, just a little overcooked like my mom's salmon growing up on that attempted long pass. Good press to be able to win possession back for Dunning, whose name we haven't said a whole lot, is able to find Clay back into Dunning. And what's so key when playing against these defensive low blocks, as we know, is just really being able to have a quick tempo, forcing players to lunge in like in those moments, so that when these shifty, quick players that we have on the attack, those Gonders, those Dunnings, those Magglebys, then we're able to really turn on the jets and then get in behind with that space. But we can see all 11 players within the defensive third for the Utes as they're trying to absorb pressure and then trying to prevent as many clear-cut opportunities. Walbrook is able to regain possession for BYU, lays it off here into Rouse.
Great ball, skipping a line.
Much better there from Euler, attempting it on his weak foot. Before the ball's given away, intended for Tetro, but not quite enough before Sharp's able to get ahead onto that. And these are these moments right here where really putting a lot of emphasis on our press when these teams are stuck in their defensive corner is just really key to be able to win the ball back. One thing that we have been improving on, silky touch and turn there from Gonder, as we find Tetro out wide, beats one.
There it is.
Into Gonder for the first goal of the season at Southfield. In the back of the old onion bag in the 11th minute. Good view of Max Maggleby, not the goal scorer, as we see Gonder. I'll tell you, man, he looks like a physical science TA, but he moves like a well-primed athlete. Just using his weak foot there, and then just slotting that into the near post in the back of the old onion bag for 1-0 here.
Yeah, absolutely great ball movement coming up to that ball and that goal. The Cougars, an excellent job moving the ball. You could tell with the moments leading up to that, Utah was getting tired. Very slow to press the ball, to react to passes. And so the more that the Cougars have these 1, 2, and 3 touch passes, you're going to see a lot more success.
No, exactly. And where did that opportunity also come from? There was a lazy giveaway. We won the ball immediately back. Turned up the decibels like my Apple Watch is warning me about, as it hears my brassy baritone just shouting in to the microphone. It's interesting, though, as and it's interesting here as We're seeing the lights finally. They're a little bit delayed. I don't know who was on the lights, but hopefully he was able to lighten up and turn that switch back on as we see the lights starting to come on. It is dark here. It's reminding me of Costa Rica in the middle of COVID when I found out part of San Jose, the capital, had no electricity. And the sun went down, and I said, "Where are the lights?" And they said, "We don't have electricity around here."
Well, you know what happens.
Best empanadas, though. We went 3 times on that trip.
Big empanada guy, huh?
Dude, when you go to that San Jose empanada shop, and then they were so stoked because they had no customers during the pandemic. They're just giving us free stuff.
So you know, we're as
a counterattack here from the Utes. Ferguson trying to recollect himself, and the cross goes into no one before Rouse is able to flick that out safely for a corner. That's a second Utah corner, and usually we're saying that type of a statistical line in favor of the Cougars already. One addition that I do have to mention also on the staff, an addition was with Tanner Whitworth stepping aside after many years of just service and expertise. Last December, we had Blake Frischknecht, an alumnus of both BYU and UVU soccer, join us from UVU's sanctioned Division I team staff. It's been a pleasure having Blake just with us, and this might be the only nice thing I say about him on the record to keep him honest. But his expertise has really helped bolster the staff for sure. And hopefully we're going to get some set pieces because that's been a big focus of his the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, Blake Frischknecht, also known as the Provo Pele back in his day, before transferring over to UVU.
Throwing it back.
Blake was truly a force to be reckoned with here on Southfield. And definitely, to your point, Grant, someone who's going to bring a lot of value here to the university and to this team.
Absolutely. And we can see the pitch here at Southfield is lighting up. Hopefully it's our moment. Good touch here as Sharp is just getting skinned, and shot comes in. Ammon Eurer just turning on the afterburners to be able to recover and prevent a second shot on frame for Utah. But this is a moment, even just speaking from when I was coaching in the blue and white game, the big thing about Rodriguez with Dylan that we really have to watch is he loves stepping very aggressively, but if we are not providing that cover from the 6 and then also the other center back partner and even that strong side fullback, that is a prime example of how we can be split open as Walbert controls the ball in the Ute box, swings it in, attempts to swing it in before it goes off of the Utah defender for BYU's first corner of the game, and also here at South in the fall 2025 season.
Yes, sir, Grant. And you know, organization is super important, but also I would say equally as important from a defensive perspective are those visual cues. Understanding if a ball is coming in the air, you need to provide cover on those center and outside backs, and hopefully, you know, a breakaway like that won't happen again.
Ball swung in here. Oh, and it's off of Rodriguez's head. You could fit a credit card underneath that vert, Dylan. Laying face down. But good attempt there. Goalkeeper misread it, and if we can even get somebody, you know, one of the players behind Dylan to call him off of it, just a little bit too high for him. Back of the onion bag for a 2-0 lead. Some displeasure, though, from Brandon Gillum, as there was a very, very casual, lackadaisical press from the unit as Colton Rouse is able to regain possession. A little bit of sharpness, speaking of sharpness, before Nick Sharp is able to combine with him there.
What a turn.
Very intentional turn and flick from Tetro as the ball's given away.
We'll have to ask him about that turn after the game tonight, Grant.
That turn was as intentional as my hairline that started receding at age 19.
And a very controversial call by the sideline referee.
He's calling that for a Utah throw?
Yes, sir.
Look at this guy right behind the thrower. He's folding his arms, that old timer, and he's like, I don't know about that, brother. But just, again, a little frenetic just with our center backs and also that space immediately in front of them. They really have to sort that out. A big thing, a challenge that we issued to them as a staff yesterday was just really increasing their vocal presence. We find it as defenders, right? As defensive players, the more that you're talking and then being able to really orchestrate those around you, it helps alleviate the pressure on you as the player. let alone you're directing those in front of you. As we have some interchange here between Rodriguez and Sharp. For Magleby, attempts a shot before it's smothered. Poorly cleared though, and goes out for a corner.
As we're waiting for this corner to take place, Grant, does Utah have new uniforms this year?
They are new.
I think they weren't very good.
You like them?
I'm a fan. They're different.
Okay.
They're different, and I think that's why I like them.
I am not a spinning metal object on the ceiling. I'm not a fan. No? Oh, you're cracking a smile. You're trying.
Anyway, as a corner kick.
Guy. 18th minute, I get hit with the first anyway of the broadcast season. Short taken in here. 4 balls lifted in.
Quite ambitious.
Ambitious to say the least. Caught the Tour de France with Magleby attempting that bike there. Unfortunately, that ball is
voted off this island, my friends.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's a different kit provider as well. Usually it's Under Armour. Is it a U for Utah or Under Armour?
I don't know. Could be one of those bots that always hit our Instagram.
Oh my goodness.
You never know. Sir, give us a chance.
It's it's so funny for some added context there for those tuning in remotely or from at home. It's so funny if you look into the BYU soccer Instagram requested messages, how many different jersey and merchandise providers we get hit up with, and they are persistent.
Very, very
They do
persistent.
not take no as an answer. It is not in their vocabulary.
And they also don't understand that we have contracts with Nike that we cannot break with the university.
Much to Tyler Staten's chagrin. Oh, before Wahlberg is able to put a foot on that and slots it in the back of the onion bag. Shushing and celebrating in the corner to absolutely no fans. He's in the wrong end of that section. Oh, he's going over to Mr. Statenator. Well done, good anticipation. I remember a coach from years ago, hailing from Portsmouth, England. He always just said gamble. And as somebody who loves Wendover, that was easy for Wahlberg to be able to try and get a foot on the end of that and then slot it home coolly. Almost as cool as a grass-fed organic cucumber that you get in Whole Foods, or even, have you seen the price of the cucumbers at Erewhon in LA?
They're expensive.
Yeah, you have to work 2 hours on campus here to afford a cucumber down there. Hey, there's a price to pay for, being able to buy a cucumber and produce in the same place that manufactures the Haley Bieber shake.
That's a fair assessment.
As Utah trying to regather their bearings in possession here. But you have to say about this goalkeeper, decent with his feet. Unfortunately, Utah's fullback is unable to control that off of his chest. Speaking of people who are great with their chest, Colton Rouse. 2 years ago, scoring that absolute belter off of his chest somehow from 30 yards against UCLA in the quarterfinals.
I will say, though, on the record, there's no goal better than Jacob Entz taking a shot deflecting off the goaltender back to his face and back in.
You know what that does to me. It's a goalkeeper.
No, it's a goaltender, my friend.
Somebody, get the doctor on the phone. This boy's sick.
Yeah, we'll have to post that reel back to our Instagram. Most odd goals scored ever on Southfield. Jacob Entz taking a shot off the goalie, back to his face and into the old underbag.
I have a term that actually I borrow from the water polo friends of ours about that type of goal. You'll have to ask me off the broadcast for the nomenclature that we assign to that one, though.
Fair assessment, my friend.
And here in the 22nd minute, we don't see a whole lot of warm-up action. We see Taft Erickson. I also see, it looks like Carson Karras and a returning senior Alex Fankhauser. The lore behind that lad in terms of his relationship with this 2025 squad is just something out of the ordinary. We were counting on him. He had his final game apparently against UVU in April in the spring season. And then he showed up on the last day of tryouts, so we said, okay, we'll give you a look. And it's as if nothing changed, just his hair was a little bit longer.
Hair a little bit longer, still the same height, same weight.
Yep, I megged him today in the warm-up, though. Megging a Fink, dude, that's of note.
Yeah, it is.
Let it be had in the archives of the Jedi Order. But one thing to note, even about Alex Fankhauser, is his role is a little bit different in that it is absolutely more focused on mentoring, providing his experience to be able to help usher in this new unit. As trying to get some shots off before Walbrook was trying to get the rebound off of that Dunning shot. We see my fellow bald brother, Aaron Jolly, Mr. Clean Chrome Dome, Mr. American Fork Worldwide, preparing with Alex Fink to be able to enter the field. I imagine we're going to see a substitution for Walbrook and then Tetro. Alex Fink typically was employed more so in the middle, but starting in the spring, he was a wider type of player. Not necessarily looking to get in behind, but being able to help facilitate possession. We also have Taft Erickson, who is going to be entering the field. I'm going to estimate for Nick Sharp. All right. I almost had him, but we have Max Magleby leaving the field. I was almost 3 for 3.
Taft Erickson, the freshman, coming in for the freshmen. Big in-and-out fan from Gilbert, Arizona. His youth club team was East Valley, South Carolina, SC. And this guy loves Megamind and single ladies. Ladies, he is single.
The song? Or is he an aspiring off-the-market bachelor?
You know, the world may never know. We're going to have to interview him after the game to figure that out.
He's trying to kiss up to me. He's saying his favorite movie is Star Wars: Revenge of the Sith. I don't know how he knows that about me, but that's a great choice. Hopefully, a good attempted ball there by Gonder. Unfortunately cut out. Flick here from Utah. They have a couple of good, skillful players. He hits the deck, and there's nothing obscene about that challenge one way or another. All ball there.
And the grounds crew are going to hate that tackle at halftime. Took a chunk of the field with him.
Erickson getting his first few touches before the ball was swung over here into Alex Fink, super senior.
And Grant, you can tell, the last 5 or so minutes, the Cougars have been working very cleanly together, getting into a rhythm, moving the ball. It's not exactly at the point where we would hope we would be, but I think at this early, at this stage in the season, I think they can be happy with it for the last 5 minutes at least.
Yeah, and in the ideal world, right, game after game, especially as we're getting used to a new unit, you would want to hope that our performance is as close to like an exponential curve as possible, right? Mm-hmm. Really only having the upward trajectory. Oh my goodness, I'm taking a look at that divot as that ball sprayed across Colton Rouse. Were you playing golf? Were you trying to drive a ball over there? You did have a killer drive allegedly today.
Allegedly, I have 3 people to sign on it. In the mouth
131 yards, was it?
In the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses shall all things be established.
It's every word established. You almost got it.
And this word was established that I did hit a 407-yard drive today. Quite unbelievable out at
an eagle on a par 5.
Eagle on a par 5, yes, sir. Talons Cove.
We have Dunning on the ball, the first goal scorer from yesterday's 5-0 rout at UVU. He hit just his classic inside-out feint into a curler. We saw a semblance of that movement that well, the thing about Dunning is, yes, he has a great touch on the ball, but he's so shifty in being able to change directions. Speaking of shiftiness into Gonder, when I'm playing a futsal team, I have to have Gonder or I'm just going to sit out. Defending that guy is not fun for an old man.
And Kyle Walbrook repping the old Hypervenoms tonight.
Well, they did a re-release earlier this year.
They did.
And Rouse looking a little bit like a giraffe on roller skates, but still finding his way to solve it before Gonder gets a second goal from Fankhauser's cross. This man, just like in the opener against Utah last year, glances that off, and we see that beautiful, beautiful fair boy get that ball flicked on in the back of the old onion bag.
What a great service here by Gonder.
Great service.
And the Chrome Dome misses it.
Who's usually accustomed to getting that big old dome on the back of that ball.
And you know, Grant, that header is especially more difficult because that header was missed by Chrome Dome. A lot of times you lose sight of the ball. You feel like that Chrome of Dome is gonna get his head on it, but unfortunately he couldn't.
Yeah.
But fortunately, our friend Randy Gonder was able to put it in the back of the old onion bag, like you said.
Super Gonder Shisantor. If you served a mission in Germany, you have a very high likelihood of being a favorite of mine on this roster. What can I say? And what we can actually see is an adjustment. It wasn't just Walbrook temporarily finding himself on the wing. With Jolly being in there, Walbrook is then shifting out wide. As we see this double team where the ball is recovered from Utah. With the, we also have had a substitution that I refrained from sharing. We had Andrew Cruz returning sophomore coming in on the right for Colton Rouse, and then also Carson Karras in his South Night debut coming in for Clayton Burgesson.
And something I've noticed, Grant, actually, Jesus Sandris is not wearing his knee brace that he wore last year, so that's a good sign.
Yeah,
right.
A lot more healthy. Strength when he gets the ball into his feet is his strength.
Yes, sir. He's a very strength.
He's a very strengthful guy.
Strengthful guy. Tree trunks. Got them legs of trees. As we see Colin Jones.
And you know what I actually learned today? I was reminded of some, speaking of trees, you know Voldemort, he who shall not be named's wand, is derived from a plant that eats that basically consumes other plants, is my understanding of the lore. So, and that's where it means Death Eater, and that's where the name of all of his crazy followers come from.
You know, I did not know that, but I do know someone who probably did. Christian Tobler.
Really?
Christian Tobler knows every single piece of Harry Potter. Knows everything.
Ball lifted up out wide here before Karras is able to put that under some pressure. Hopeful cross coming in before that's cut out by Rodriguez. Before Walbrook is taken down. One thing Walbrook brought over from his experience at Utah Tech is his ability to really use his body, especially on those half turns, and being able to just really create that separation, which he did a great job of before Karras. And speaking of just a turn, those two Utah players forgot they're on the same team before Walbrook gives the ball away. Looking for James Dunning, who's in a much more advanced position.
And, you know, Grant, one big thing, you know, if we're talking the difference between NCAA and club here, to your point, NCAA a lot more bigger, stronger, perhaps more physical.
Yes.
In that sphere of competition. And so, you know, BYU, as they think through their competition, you know, how can they be a little bit stronger, a little bit quicker on the ball and you know, body people off? Not necessarily fouling, right? But you know, putting their foot on the level on the gas and really just, you know, grinding it out and winning those 50-50 balls, winning those fouls, and putting themselves in a great position to win the ball and to succeed.
For sure, and it helps with the player personalities that you do have. Jolly is somebody who likes the pressure. Kyle Walbrook loves the pressure. The physical pressure, right, coming from the opposition. You do have other players who don't prefer it. A lot of those in our current squad as well, and that's something when we do play the sanctioned teams in the spring. There's a little bit of an adjustment period, especially in our first couple of games when we are playing these sanctioned teams. What we do possess is a lot of skill, but we're very much accustomed, right, of having to get, you know, having one set of competition, one style of play, if you will, absorb, try and outbody us to a lot quicker physical opponents. As we see the pressure here applied from Taft Erickson, unfortunately comes off his foot and goes out for a throw-in. We're going to see Carter Olson coming in, checking in for the first time at South this year in his final season, as I understand it, with the BYU Cougars. And we also have Colin Jones, who walked onto the team in the spring season, coming on as well. But I would like to even just point out right now in terms of things that I'm noticing a definite improvement in quality from Utah. They break really quickly, actually. But one thing I have to really point out is our passing percentage and just overall quality with the ball is not nearly as sharp as it can be. We can see Utah wanting to commit numbers forward at this point, being down 3-0. James Dunning dragged down, he feels unfairly. Referee opts to let play resume, and honestly, I have no issue with that challenge from Utah. As we're seeing a spell of possession from the neighbors up north. You know, today between the two footballs, neither Utah program has had any lead starting, in either of those games, being against Texas Tech in football today, and that shellacking that we saw at Rice Eccles, and then today being down 3-0 in the 33rd minute.
Yeah, 16 in the country, I don't think so. Not after that performance today, unfortunately.
They might be ranked 16 in Salt Lake, you know what I mean?
Yeah, Westminster might be better than them. Yeah. They don't even have a team.
Really?
Westminster football?
You know what's crazy? Have you seen the tuition for Westminster?
Yeah, it's great. It's insane. Yeah, private university, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, it ain't so private. The way that the federal government will keep going after you get a liberal arts degree, and you go in 6 figures worth of debt, and you can't shake that bad boy off. You're not digging into that principle, and they're up in your business. I'll have to tell you, Euler spraying that ball across the field, that is something that I absolutely love seeing, and that's with his weak foot. Great interchange here. An attempted cross by Cruz is cut out by a Utah defender. I thought it went out for a corner. It might have ricocheted back off of him for a goal kick here.
Perchance that is correct, my friend Grant.
Yep. And we see Owen Rich coming in for Dunning, as well as Colin Jones in for Braden Gonder. Solid shifts, I would definitely say, from Gonder with his brace here in the first half.
Yeah, and Grant, as we're setting up here, something I've really liked watching, I've been pressing a special attention to those center backs. Taft Erickson doing a very good job of communicating off the ball, sorting things out, while the ball is not necessarily in an area, a dangerous area. And so, that's something I really like. Conejo Malo really getting on top of that as well, and feeding off of that energy. And I'm seeing the two really work well together.
We're seeing, unfortunately, misapplied application of the intended idea from Fankhauser, but a great interchange where we speed up the tempo, starting left to right from Karras into Erickson, from Conejo Malo, who's applying some pressure here on Sanders, and then just really hitting the point of the attack very quickly. Great ball, potentially great ball before it's cut out by Karras. Applying that simple defensive block of 4 principle very effectively there to cut out that intended through ball here. Fank opting to go back in here to Cruz, the Broken Arrow, Oklahoma native.
Broken Arrow, Oklahoma.
Broken Arrow, do you think that's based off of first Nephi when Nephi breaks the bow?
It very well might have
second
been.
Nephi when he breaks the bow. Oh, just a lot of contact just coming right through Colin Jones. Welcome to fall 2025 at South, Mr. Jones. I have to say, Euler being a junior, which is great news for us to hear how he's not done. He's not done yet at BYU. Has really grown into the role. I remember when he came off his mission and he looked good, but he really just continues. Great work here, almost from Fank before it's cut out. But Euler's really matured in his abilities on the ball, being able to really dictate tempo, and man, having that weak foot to spray a 40, 50-yard diagonal is something that we really need in our repertoire in the midfield.
Yeah, and it's not something that needs to happen every time.
Of course.
Right? It's a tool in our tool belt to move the defense. So maybe we put together 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 quick touch passes, and then we break even, right? We get a little deep as this ball is played a little bit deeper in.
And speaking of tools, it's not about a person. Do you know the most underrated thing that you can find in a toolbox, I feel, is an Allen wrench? And I was just assembling some furniture in the apartment. I love the Allen wrench. Like, whoever created that, Brother Allen.
Now,
creative guy.
Now, let me just put an idea out there for all you engineers and business entrepreneurs. You think of an Allen wrench and how excruciatingly annoying it is to screw things in. Why don't we just create a drill bit that goes into that, and then we just get rid of all of the manual work?
It also helps prevent over drilling, which then impacts the integrity of the wood that
I don't like it. That's a bad excuse for a good tool.
Well, you know, it's like Polynesian sauce at Chick-fil-A. I don't think it's that great.
Polynesian sauce is not good at Chick-fil-A.
Nope.
Chick-fil-A sauce, very, very good. But I will say the Polynesian with the Chick-fil-A sauce on another level.
It has to be a foul, yeah. Doesn't get anything.
Penal foul is assessed there.
Interesting adjective, Doss. And see here in the 38th minute, Utah had that spell of about 3 to 5 minutes where they had that slightly extended possession. They were starting to come at the Cougars, and it was a good show of resolve by our defensive units to be able to repel any of those types of attacks. Got to be a little bit sharper here from Jolly. Slides through. And again, we're just seeing Dylan just stepping, and he's just a little overzealous before getting burned. One thing that I love about before Erickson's unable to cut that out, that has to be a penalty. That's a penalty. Silly, silly challenge from Karras there. But it starts just right here, just this greediness is like, actually the foul started outside the box.
The foul is outside the box.
Outside the box, we can see here on the replay. No, that absolutely started outside the box. I know that there's a referee assessor here. I hope he has his eyes peeled because that's a horrible call.
We got VAR?
Nope. Well, I wish we had a referee who just knew the principles of a foul, though. We can see it right here on multiple screens. You saw on the broadcast, starts well outside the box, about 5 yards outside. Continuations of fouls do not exist in this sport, and that is absolutely not a penalty. Jesus Sanders, though, in his return, I think it might be his 4th to Southfield, looking to put this away. A new goalkeeper, Spencer Bell. Transfer in from Westminster. Up for his first real challenge here at Southfield, trying to maintain a clean sheet. But right there, where does the problem really stem from, Doss? Just a little bit too greedy instead of just delaying, collecting ourselves, just simple principles of pressuring, covering, and balancing, right? Which way do you think this is going?
Middle.
It's going left. Did it go middle? It went middle. 3-1 lead reduces the 3-0 deficit for the Utes. But just a sour way to end the half for sure. Eliminating the clean sheet prospects for Spencer Bell's first start at Southfield.
Yeah, it is tough. And, you know, Grant, you and I, we harp on it time and time again, but how important is it to be organized ahead of time, to be clean on your touches? And unfortunately, you know, this time it came back to bite the Cougars. Even though, you know, the foul did start outside of the box, you can't complain, right? If you're organized, you're prepared.
Exactly.
It doesn't happen.
You know my philosophy. I'm not in the realm of pinning results on officials. Yes, it is a poor call, but what can we do to prevent the official from having the ability to even make that type of call, right?
Yeah. And Grant, you know, with the last remaining 5 minutes of this half, the Cougars, they're going to want to close this game out very, very solidly. Obviously, they want to not give up another goal. However, at the very least, they want to keep possession, keep the game relatively boring for the opposition, and you know, go into halftime up 2 goals. Regardless, I think Utah's going to go into halftime optimistic. They're only down 2 goals. They've gotten 1 goal, and that is something that is truly inspiring for a player, especially from a crosstown rival, right up 45 minutes down the road. They're at Southfield. The lights are on. It's an electric environment. And, you know, unfortunately, Grant, if BYU were to bend and break even further, I think that puts BYU at quite a different position walking into halftime as opposed to 3-0 and 3-1.
Yeah, and Yeah, all I can add is just retweet, brother, or re-X, whatever what do they call it now? Reposting on the app formerly known as Twitter?
It is Twitter.
Yeah.
Re-Xing.
Re-Xing.
Rexing.
Wrexham?
Wrexham.
And that's just such a difficult ball. That's something that tactically we have been discouraging center backs from just hitting those flat split passes right into our players. They're so difficult to control, and not only that, when you're making that run, as we're able to see what Fank's able to do here, puts it in towards Owen. Mr. Rich looking to create his first goal scoring contribution here at Southfield. But the big thing, right, is as I'm losing track of my train of thought here, it's really important to really understand the implications that there is a really high expectation when we're playing here at Southfield. Header comes in. Oh, it was just cleared off the line. That was just bobbling. Colin not able to effectively catch a hold of that shot.
Yeah, ball just bobbling around. Everyone just kind of watching to see what was going to happen.
Yeah.
So that ball's voted off the island.
I would say it's voted off the beach.
That was definitely off the beach. Yeah, we didn't entirely get off the island that time.
Yeah, and then I really don't want to ruminate here. Just going back to what culminated in the sequence of events leading to that penalty called by the referee. Jolly getting the big header before Fank wins a header. You heard me right. Rich losing control before Ericsson's able to cut things out. Eriksson also subbed in for Euler. Looked a little frenetic in possession so far, his first few touches on the ball. It's just huge, though, in terms of stepping. And I think Rodriguez is used to having Isaiah Strong or a Cameron Pennock to be able to help cover with a lot of intensity, but also the sense of that familiarity. And we saw it's very casual. Everyone's trusting Dylan to make it work, as he often does. But it's happened a couple times where it hasn't worked out tonight. Leading to that first shot in the second minute on goal that Bell was able to smother up, but then also here leading to the penalty. And this is another thing in possession. Can we just be brave enough and a little audacious to skip the next player instead of being so methodical, going right back to center back to opposite fullback? Olsen gets his first couple of touches on the ball before he's foul's called against him.
This could be a somewhat opportunistic position for the Cougs, depending on how they go. We got Kanehomalo pouring numbers forward.
Yeah,
Looks like we got
Utah's putting everyone behind. Actually, this is a case in which I would go short. Let's see if I'm wrong. Decent ball. Great ball here, Jolly.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a shot, but
Taft Eriksson.
Two solid connections on his left, but I'd say you could argue Jolly was dragged down a little bit.
I don't know. Maybe we get a replay on that. I'm not sure.
You know, I respect the matching pink boots with the full goalkeeper strip.
You know, you got to be dedicated, Grant. I always say that. If you're not dedicated.
You always say that?
Yeah, if you're not dedicated, always.
He always says it.
I say it every day.
Every day. What does Victoria think? Do you just like wake up and say, gotta be dedicated every day?
That's what I do when I wake up at 4:45 every single morning.
Decent effort here by Karras. Oh my goodness, referee.
Oh, he was handing the ball to the next guy.
Referee, that's a bunch of malarkey, dude. He gives it back to the eventual thrower anyways. More fragile than one of the vases I shattered with the soccer ball in the house growing up. My goodness gracious.
Oh, wow, look at
not me being impatient with the bad officiating. Couldn't be me.
Oh, red.
What? Did he just get a second yellow for talking?
Oh, wow, that is an egotistical call, from my opinion.
That's ridiculous here. You shouldn't be talking as Karras, but at the same time, to have such a fragile little ego. Big man, 6'7" allegedly, but the ego of a baby, I'll tell you that. Jordan Downs, my guy, not a fan. But it's a good challenge here for BYU on opening night here at South to be able to really dig in, get a little bit of adversity, something that, we do try to simulate in training sessions and in games, but now being down to 10 men, how can we continue to build on our lead? As halftime is called here, Andrew, I'm curious to hear your first half thoughts.
Yeah, definitely not the ending that the Cougars wanted. They're up 3-0. They give up a goal. Okay, you get a yellow card. Okay, that turns into a red. Very unfortunate. The Cougars, they're definitely going to have their work cut out for them in the second half. They are up by 2 goals, which is good, but down 1 man. So definitely some issues to address here at halftime. I'd be interested to see what Coach Brandon Gillum does, how he adjusts with his personnel and formation going into the second half.
Yeah, some of the players were approaching the officials, but Frischnecht is just sending them over to the locker room, not engaging any further. It's just overall poor officiating, but these are things, again, totally in our control. I'm not saying a word if I'm Karras, right?
Yeah. Very, very tough ending to the second half.
Yeah, it's amateur from that center official, though. And we're signing off here. We'll see you in 15 minutes here at Southfield as your BYU Cougars lead 3-1. We'll be back with Andrew Dosick. Andrews will be back with you in a second.
Yeah? Dude, I never get to eat it, and then it just gets cold, and I'm like, this isn't good.
Here at just the end of the second half. Cougars up by 2. Down on the field, though, 11 versus 10 players. Andrew Dossett, in my conversations with the rest of the staff, we're going to be employing a 3-5-1 formation with Aaron Jolly as that singular forward, with James Dunning and then Braden Gonder coming in support. We have Alex Fankhauser and Clayton Bergeson operating as wingbacks with a central defensive unit of Dylan Rodriguez, Nick Sharp on the right, and then on the left, Taft Erickson with Amon Euler in front of them. Big message that I personally had to those defenders is somebody steps, we have to be disciplined and always think worst case scenario and being able to cover. Long ball comes in towards Bergeson before it goes out, looks like for a Utah throw. This is a great opportunity as well to win the ball back, put them under pressure, and see what we're able to really help facilitate as Euler gets turned. And you're going to see they're just starting to go direct. They recognize they're up a man. They're going to be a lot more audacious and even rash in how they are attacking us, Andrew.
And perhaps, at the start of the lineup of the half, Utah, they might look at that and say they're going to 3 in the back, and then they just have one guy sitting. That's a very interesting look. And so maybe that plays into, we got to be more direct, because they see all of that real estate, when in reality, that may not necessarily be the case, my friend.
No, exactly. Actually, the best place is to, I'd say not to, open up the playbook, but I would actually really look to get our midfielders to overcommit and then see how, and really try to expose slow transitional moments from our wingbacks and then really hit the opposite side of the ball.
And Grant, I'm a big proponent of, we want to make the game boring, right? You're down a man, you get this game to be too emotional, things happen, right? And putting your team in that type of situation definitely makes it a lot more difficult to maintain composure and to maintain this lead. So, right now we've seen the ball be swung back and forth, a number of times. I'm more than happy with this, Grant.
Because what Utah's really looking for is a little bit of arrogance from us and then looking to break very quickly. And we saw in the first half, they have those moments where they do break very quickly. As Bergeson looks to play in Gonder, the ball unfortunately rolls out. Tell me how that fairway's breaking.
Yeah, Grant, I'm really in the mood right now for an absolute James Dunning banger, just like he did at UVU.
That's true. When are we not in the mood, though, for that? That's like original Chick-fil-A sauce, my brother.
Original Chick-fil-A with the Polynesian, my friend.
Have you ever used leftover, unopened Chick-fil-A sauce packets?
Opened?
No, unopened.
Oh, unopened.
Leftover, right? But not used.
My brother.
Have you ever used it? Have you ever used that sauce for heavy touch there from Euler for balls recovered here by Erickson? Have you ever used it for another type of food, like you're making something at home?
I do the Costco chicken nuggets. Nothing else, though.
You like those? I've never tried them.
They're pretty good. Not the Bear, but the Costco brand.
Okay. Kirkland.
Costco brand, yes. Kirkland,
not
so much better.
Up until I was like 12 years old.
It's a good ball.
That the church owned Costco, because I thought it was the Kirkland temple.
Very well,
just
maybe.
There on that attempted long pass, don't worry about under-hitting it.
Oh, and Alex Fankhauser. Took that one right in the throat, but took it like a champion. As Gonder had some space. Ball, unfortunately, unable to get to him from Alex Fankhauser.
You're killing me. 4 generations of, not 4 generations, but, 4 different eras of Fankhauser brothers. This, we thought 2024 would be the last season, and actually 2025 is going to be the last season. Fank actually was deployed as a wingback in many situations in the spring, so this is something that isn't all that new to him after the spring 2025 season. Utah's regained possession, starting to maintain some tempo. The big thing here, and being able to take care of the ball for Utah, but for BYU is understanding those cues of when to press. Long hopeful ball lifted in. Fankhauser is able to get that under control towards Euler, into Gonder, back to Euler, in towards Sharp, and then into Gonder's chest. Oh, and that's a foul. And then where's the card here from the referee?
Apparently it's okay to toss the ball 3 yards, but it's not okay to kick someone's shin.
You can toss the ball less than 3 yards actually, but coming in with all of the malice, taking out somebody's ankles isn't a booking.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
I'm just
That is
saying.
fair. That is fair.
Where do you think I was going?
I wasn't thinking anywhere.
You weren't thinking anywhere?
We got some celebrities in the booth tonight.
Oh, man. Do not let Dawson find you after nationals the way he found me. He made my life miserable. He grabbed my traps. I thought that a giant eagle was attacking me. And some pace here from Utah's number 10, just really breaking sharply. Rodriguez putting some pressure on Sanders here, who crosses it in before it's cut out here by Sharp into Gonder, combining with Euler. And Gonder's a player who doesn't look for the contact like some other types of skillful, more attacking types of players. He's just an honest dude. Call him Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah, that guy's passing the sacrament every Sunday. You know it.
Oh, yeah, man.
You just know it. He's there early. He's prepping it. A1, man.
And it's good here. Like, smart by Sharp. If Utah's not going to pressure, then let them come to us, and that's ideal. Some space will then start opening up. Lifted ball in here from Euler. Goalkeeper opts not to pick it up, though. I don't know why we're not continuing to press. It is fine to pick up there because it's not an intentional pass back.
Fun fact, Grant. If a player passes the ball back to the goaltender and swings and whiffs.
Please help me. I'm blinking twice. I'm in danger.
If he's
the goaltender.
Hey,
what is this, a chicken restaurant?
Hey, if the goalie, they swing and they miss, they can go and pick the ball back up. Even though the ball was passed back intentionally.
Really?
Yes, sir. FIFA laws of the game. Because it was not an intentional pass at that point.
And that's a handled ball by Sandris. But speaking of the laws of the game, that's something that our center official in the middle of the park should try and reacquaint himself with, or acquaint himself with.
I think that is definitely a good observation.
A big misunderstanding and fallacy is that a foul starts but continues into the box. Therefore, the penalty should be called. Unfortunately, that's just not the reality. Well done by Gonder, just a 1v3 situation, able to create some separation as it's in here for Fankhauser. Able to break a line, 2 lines actually here, before Euler and Fankhauser, who finds himself in that more traditional, familiar center of the park, into Dunning. Now into Euler. And just that type of situation here is when we definitely want to try and put them under some pressure, as open up a pizza parlor with that slice, my friend.
Speaking of pizza, Dave Portnoy made his way to the Pie Pizzeria, gave it nearly a 7.0.
Oh, I think that's generous.
I think the Pie Pizzeria is a lot, I'm not going to say exactly what my rating would be, but I don't know if I would give it a 7.
What are you supposed to mean? You're giving it higher?
No.
Oh, yeah. No. I thought that was generous.
Yeah. But apparently he did go.
That pizza is greasier than a poor struggling teenager's face as they're having to deal with all the hormonal changes and, potentially going on Accutane, dude. It is awful.
Speaking from experience, my friend.
I would rather not eat and pray and consecrate that period as a fast than eat the Pie Pizzeria. It's just one of those places, it's been there forever. Like, Brick Oven, dude, is better. And I'm not acting like Brick Oven is.
Just ask Jacob Bueller, he knows.
Oh, yeah. Just showing up 2 minutes before kickoff with a whole hot piece of pizza. One time he showed up, I kid you not, I just started the broadcast. And I was color back then, right? Not play-by-play like now. And I just start, and he rolls up with the pizza, and he's like, and he says to me, do you want some? As I'm talking about the broadcast.
Jacob Bueller, we miss you greatly. Hope you're listening.
Miss you. Say hi to Jamal for us.
But no, we should also congratulate Jacob and Brinley Bueller, recently mother and father to one beautiful baby girl. Definitely a huge milestone in their lives, and we're happy to call them and their future daughter BYU Cougies fans.
No, I agree. Every time Bayern is playing, I get a text. Well, in big games, Champions League games, or in the Club World Cup, Bueller and Brindley went to the went to the game in North Carolina. But it's so funny. He texted me and Cam Couve. Lovely lifted ball in there from Dylan Rodriguez. Jolly is adjudged to be offside. Gillum disagrees with the assistant referee. Down ball on the this near side touchline to us, far side for the viewers at home. I do love Dallin. Sam Ward, he's a good guy.
Very good
I'll give
guy.
him the benefit of the doubt on that. Now Jordan, on the other hand, in the middle of the park. I don't know about that guy. Honestly, the Pie Pizzeria of officiating.
You know, Grant, I will throw a plug out there. Bellagio Pizzeria on State Street in South Salt Lake. Actually, phenomenal pizza, in my humble opinion. Went there back in 2021, actually.
That was a different world back then.
But it is actually quite amazing.
A notable substitution we also have here that we feigned to mention here is Joe Barlow coming in for Spencer Bell. Joe came on as a practice player in the spring and found his way into the lineup. A place that I've been hearing a lot about is actually Pizzeria Tasso.
Heard a lot of good things.
In Holiday, it's a passion project of the founder.
Yeah.
They're open, I think, Friday, Saturday, Monday, and that's it.
They're great on the TikToks.
They have TikTok?
They are all about the TikToks. Very good.
And we're seeing James Dunning coming out for Kyle Walbrook. James looked a little laggard just energy-wise. After a hard shift on being on turf yesterday, that might have contributed to it. Walbrook is coming in, and it'll be interesting. I imagine we'll see either Jolly or Walbrook come in more like a 10. Maybe we are switching the formation, though.
When in doubt,
womp it out.
Good play by Gonder.
And I have to say, out of all the home openers, as we see Colton Rouse passing us, readying himself to come in, I have to say, we have not seen so much possession from the Utes at South Field.
Yeah, especially, they're BYU down a man. You got to think, where is this possession going? Why?
Yeah. One thing I do also want to point out at the same time with the possession, we're getting too isolated by that wing back. We also saw Gonder, he was having to check back, and then he's in this isolated wing position. We need to be able to break lines, even just horizontally, right? And if I'm BYU right now, I'm shifting everyone as fast as I can onto the strong side of the ball, not worrying about a switch, right? We need to alleviate the pressure. As ball's thrown in here, Gonder gets a foot on it before it's cleared out.
And for you ladies at home listening in, if you are interested or have been searching for a man who has served a mission in the wonderful Reno, Nevada mission, Joe Barlow is your man. You can follow him at Joe_Barlow3 on Instagram.
Reno, the world's biggest small city.
That no one's ever been to.
Porsche North America, when they founded their North American headquarters, they were in Reno originally because of the tax advantages, but they wanted to open up in a place cheaper than Vegas at the time. This is in the late 80s, right?
That's quite the business decision, putting all of their employees through that.
And then they moved to Atlanta, and everyone's like, thank goodness.
Atlanta ain't much better.
Well, it's a good place. Great food. We're glad to see that Mr. Jacob Entz with that insane face goal is tuning in, waiting for that shout out. I love Alumni Weekend that's coming up October 10th because I get to see Entz in my annual interaction that I'm afforded with him.
I missed that.
But is he out east now?
He is out east.
Oh, man.
Yeah, he's out in...
Entz, money is no object for you, my friend. Do whatever it takes
and I'm sure
that flight out here.
And I'm sure he's got a wonderful, very comprehensive PTO package that he is never using. So definitely make your way out here.
Walbrook able to regain possession for BYU.
And Entz, just to catch you back up, the BYU Cougars
Speaking
are
only
down.
to Jake Entz. No
Yes,
one else.
Jacob Entz, only you. Cougars
This is the
are
time just
down.
to take advantage of.
One man, red card, double yellow. given to number 23, Carson Karras, at the end of the first half. Quite unfortunate, but the Cougies are faring well without him.
They faring decently well. I really don't want to be that contrarian Clay, if you will.
That's fair.
But the biggest thing here is our release to put in some pressure, right, on that shifted ball when Utah's in possession, as Fank is just sliding that bad boy through.
That is a standard Fankhauser.
Vaseline, man.
It is impossible to be a Fankhauser and lose the ball. I actually heard once their father say, if you lose the ball and don't get the ball back within a 0.2 seconds, you're no longer part of this family. And I think Alex took that to heart just there.
Yeah. You have that on record?
Yeah, I will pull that up.
Ball being swung around. The sting being taken out of the game again, but something that is so difficult, or easy really, difficult to refrain from and easy to be able to feel this false sense of security when you are in this back three with a man down in the overall unit, is being able to just pass around pretty aimlessly. There has to be a little bit of intention, and body shape and having those positive first touches is huge. Just because you can see we're starting to get trapped a little bit. Erickson is asking for some type of option. Ball's lifted into Jolly, well found there. I would just play it more square though, into Rouse there. We don't need that sexy ball initially. One back by Gonder, well done. Rouse just slaloming through again, looking nice and silky smooth like that. Well done there, Colton. Rodriguez here into Erickson. We also see Maxwell Waldron recently returned from his mission. He is going to enter the field as a center back.
Ref plays advantage.
Where's the card there, dude?
I think it's coming. Don't you worry, Grant. He's got him.
It has to be. Gonder's down, just malicious tackle, and that's twice on him, right? Well done.
That was extremely late, very dangerous.
And honestly, I don't even know what advantage Fank has in a 1v3 situation on the edge of the box. Just call it back as a free kick. So Waldron came back from his mission in Cambodia about 8 months ago, as I understand it. So at the turn of the year, essentially. Maybe a little bit less than 8 months. Maybe it's a little bit closer to the spring season, but we'll see who he comes in for, either Erickson or Sharp, I imagine.
As you see Coach Brandon Gillum on the camera there, just real quick. He likes finger painting. As you can tell, he's using his fingers and his hands, showing his players where to go. I think he's hoping that they'll get into finger painting as well one day, but maybe not tonight.
I don't even know what to say to that. Walbrook's been struggling a little bit in possession, just overall, not at that level of sharpness that we're accustomed to. Had some good moments in the first half, looking to get reintegrated in the second half. We see Maggleby's coming on. So we say Waldron making his Southfield debut, coming in for Sharp. It'll be interesting. The big thing about Maggleby is he has such blistering pace. He opened up the season account, I believe, last year with against Utah in the home opener.
And referee says no foul.
It's honestly, it's actually, the resemblance is pretty similar to what I see at Nationals.
In what sense, Grant?
Just officiating might not go necessarily the way we want it. The game's been made interesting by some strange calls, to say the least. And but again, we're just going to have to deal with it. I think, again, I'm not going to put a result on an official. Have to deal with it. as Mr. Barlow's fixing that divot. Jolly is leaving the field for Magleby here in the 65th minute. 20 minutes in the half, haven't registered a shot so far for the Cougars. And the same thing for Utah.
Yeah, relatively boring half so far. Not a bad thing.
Lovely ball there by Rodriguez. As they're putting goalkeeper under pressure, Magleby's almost able to get in front of that. That flick there from Gonder goes back to Utah, and they're able to recollect ourselves here. Utah regaining possession here. And it's going to be interesting seeing just how we continue to rotate our substitutions. We were very aggressive yesterday. We had an entirely new set of 10 coming in gradually halfway in each half, whereas today it's obviously not the case. But again, very reactive right there, you know, off of that misplaced cross and just being able to apply some pressure. Another hopeful ball swung in. Eriksson off of Euler, back into Rodriguez. Now into Gonder. I don't understand calling offside there when there's advantage, but I mean, it helps BYU out actually in this case, Andrew, just because we're able to slow down and eat up some more time on the clock.
I would agree with that.
Interesting call, though.
Yeah, you know, I'm not really familiar with this referee and his history. Definitely seems like there's some learning moments to be had here. Seems like the official is potentially here in as Max is a great ball in.
Headed out by the keeper, but let's see if Walbrook can do something with this. It's just getting wrapped up. I don't know how that's not a foul.
Yeah, dude.
I just gotta laugh at this point. That's absolute bonkers.
I guess it's okay to hug your friend, but not necessarily.
If Colton fouls him, it's going to be a yellow card. Watch. Well done there by Colton, just being able to put enough pressure and jostling to put him off. We're going to see Colin Jones coming in, likely for Gonder, I imagine.
Yeah,
Rodriguez gets a foot on it.
It's great individual.
I just don't understand. You have your arms wrapped around like it's a prom photo, you know, op posing situation, right?
I like that hard but controlled tackle by Taft Eriksson there. Sometimes it's tough to get that timing right.
Yeah, you have to be sure for absolutely, especially on a night like tonight. We're going to see Finkhauser leaving the field in the 68th minute for Colin Jones. Fink exiting the field. It might likely be his last action in his final home opener of his BYU career. I have to say Rodriguez is that wasn't Rodriguez actually. It was a well done step of pressure there from Waldron. Well timed on that one. We're going to see a corner coming in from Utah. Headed out by Walbrook here as Gonder applies pressure, wins the ball back. And this is where you just want to get Max going.
With those daddy long legs.
Magleby in on goal, one-on-one. And he's got to put that away. His last touch just killed the angle, Andrew.
Yeah, that's tough to walk away from. That's extremely devastating to walk away from and not have a goal.
The game is done in that situation. That's a beautifully placed ball by Gonder. But just right here, he's caught in two minds almost. The entire near post is wide open.
I would have taken the shot earlier, to be honest.
But chip him.
Dribble him, pull a Christian Bain.
Tell me more about that. What would Bain do?
What would Bain do? Bain would dribble the keeper, and then he would dribble the goal line, and then the goal post.
And then pull his socks up.
In the triple XL jersey.
It's true.
With the small shorts.
It's true. Trying to toe the line, making people wondering if he is wearing any trousers. Decent turn there, a good turn there by Walbrook. Judged to have been dragged back, as we're going to see Ryan Tetro and then also James Dunning preparing to enter the field. It'll be Dunning's re-entry here in the second half. Tetro's first foray into the second half. Erickson surveying his options. Yeah, in this case, I'm just saying, ping that bad boy just exactly like that to Colin Jones. So he's able to do, takes him on, creates some separation, headed out. Great. Not enough numbers in the box. Well done by Jones there, though.
Daddy Longlegs just making his way through.
Good heavens, man.
Either way.
Max is like, that guy falling his cheeks, bro. Testy affair here in the second half, despite there being a greater share of possession lent to the Utes. It'll be interesting to see what Dunning and Tetra are able to do here to be able to get us some decent opportunities. Good shift by Walbrook, being able to use his strength. He definitely sharpened up in possession. Gonder should have had an assist there for Magleby. Unfortunately, wasn't able to get that from the lack of sharpness there on the finish.
Yeah, you know, Grant, as we're into the 71st, 72nd minute, you know, at this point in the game, you might be thinking, you know, ahead of the game, you know, maybe BYU's at 6, maybe 7 goals. That's not the case here tonight. So
I mean, last time it was we were at 7-8.
We were at 7-8
or 6-7.
But 6-7 sometimes, you know, that's what you might think. But
6-7.
Not
Speaking
the point.
of Jake Lewis, I saw him at the RSL game the other night.
Did you?
He and his wife are expecting.
Wow. What are they expecting?
A baby.
Oh,
yeah.
Wonderful.
Just one.
Just one. Wonderful.
Yeah. I bet they're also expecting oh, this is a great time to suppress here.
Look at that. Can of corn will be fine.
Well done there by Tet. Let's see what Magleby's able to do. Oh, flashes across the face of goal.
As Utah plays quick here.
Well done there, just in that press, and we're seeing Ryan Tetro just turning on the afterburners. I wish I had that type of pace on October 10th. I'll be moving out of quarters.
We're going to need it. Yeah, Corey Cuvier is going to need that too.
Can of corn and I'll be fine.
That's what I'm going to do to just, instead of stretching this year, I'm just going to eat some corn for about 3 weeks straight. Get me ready.
You know, corn is a pretty difficult vegetable to digest.
Hey, I didn't say I was eating nothing but corn. Great ball into Dunning.
And then Tetra's able to find possession. Not Dunning's best performance so far. Let's see what he's able to do these last 18 minutes. You can definitely see the sting has been taken out of the game for large part by the Utes, as we're maintaining possession. And right here's where I would just release Magleby. Look at this space between the midfield and the defensive lines right now. And especially when Rodriguez or Euler's on the ball, I just get Max going right now. They're high.
Yeah, they definitely are. I'd like to see good Colton Rouse dropping just a little bit on that weak side.
Despite being nearly 7 feet tall, Magleby's strength is definitely not in his aerial abilities. He almost ducks when he heads the ball, if you notice. He's like this. Like, I think shrugs his shoulders a little bit.
I think the viewers had a great view of that, Grant.
Oh, was it on me just there?
No.
Oh. Oh, was it a Max?
No, it was not on you. It was on the play.
Oh.
And Colton Rouse read that like a book. It was telegraphed, really.
Break. It's just too casual there from Tet. And this is where I'm just getting up. Brian Tetro looking to open his account for his final senior season. It was going to be last year, but after the ACL injury in spring of 2024, I remember it was a cold, wintry day. Sounds like out of a horror movie. This will actually be his final season.
When
Ball
in doubt.
cleared into the stratosphere.
Oh, head injury. I think they're calling maybe a shoulder or something got bumped. And the Denise trot makes her way out.
We haven't said Denise's name. It's taken 75 minutes.
Yeah. So Denise makes her little turkey trot out there. Go to check on Mr. Sandris.
Yeah. And you hear Coach Gillum shouting, 5 more, nice and hard. I wonder which player that might be to.
Joseph Sanders.
No, I'm talking to a BYU player, my guy.
Ah.
Nice guess, though.
I don't wear Guess, I wear Gucci.
Pretty good. Concussion protocol looks like is coming underway. Well, we're 6 days removed from our second home game. That's going to be next Friday, excuse me, September 26th at home against Utah Tech. Before we'll be on the road for a couple of weeks, first at Utah State, and then the Friday night before conference, actually in the reverse fixture against Utah up at the University of Utah. Ooh.
Yeah, it looks like the ball might have hit
like just kind of
Sandris right in the face.
Like deflected almost, and you can't really see it at first glance. Hope he's doing all right. These head and facial injuries are nothing to trifle with.
Yeah, just ask Tua Tagovailoa. He knows all about that.
Anyway.
Speaking of football, BYU up 27-13 against Eastern Carolina.
I saw ECU on that score, and I literally thought of Ecuador immediately.
Yeah, Ecuador playing BYU football. Yes, sir. As play resumes here. Joe Barlow with a boot.
You have to have somebody challenging for that before Oilers able to regain possession.
It was a good idea.
Yep, just a little bit overcooked on that one. And on this occasion, we're seeing a equal deployment of forces as Sanders is now here on the sideline close to us, figuring out his contact situation. I'll tell you, the biggest thing I'm the biggest baby about is putting contacts in my eyes. I just don't even do it anymore.
You don't even have glasses.
Well, I needed them, you know, like when I was sitting in the Tanner building or in the JSB in those, you know, big lecture halls. The BYU staff just expressing their displeasure, what they feel is a little bit disproportionate response to certain fouls, especially the malicious kind like we see there, just the double extension through Rodriguez as he's clearing the ball. Rodriguez hands it off here to Barlow. Slicing out, that might hit me.
Be careful, Coach Gillum. They might give you a red card for that.
I know. He nodded his head in agreement. If I speak more, I'm in big trouble.
Oh, and Tetro. Ooh. Tetro had some space there. The tackles there.
That is malicious there from Dunning.
And Dunning does not care, not afraid to back down from a challenge. Very much of his personality.
He's that Roll Tide FC Dallas product. He doesn't care, man. And this is a really good opportunity and moment for us just to be able to win possession back right there. Yeah, we see the double extension there. Obviously, Dunning wasn't super stoked on life about that. As Tetro and Jones were exchanging passes before Magleby gave up possession. We're going to see Andrew Cruz coming back on in the second half here at Southfield. And just also that final pass, other than just that peach of a through ball from Gonder into Magleby, just hasn't really been there in these combination moments.
Joseph Barlow, very, very well done.
Joey B.
Joey B. Joey B. You from Louisiana?
You're South Monroe, Louisiana. The ball boy's asking for a high five from Joe Barlow, and Barlow, I'm ignoring the kid too.
And he says, raise the roof, get out of here. I don't want anything of this. Everyone get out. I'm gonna boot the loot.
So Cruz is going in for Magleby. It doesn't look like there's necessarily a rotation, so I think Cruz is just going to be up top here.
Just here to stretch the opponent.
The legs.
Get them tired. Make it a little less harder to build up.
By Magleby, unfortunate not to have gotten that 4-1 goal opportunity. Dude, that kid tucking in his shirt behind the goal and tucking in his shirt into those jeans, that's crazy work. Dunning able to regain possession back into Euler. Tetro unable to regain possession. But you imagine Utah, with less than 10 minutes in normal time here, I imagine we'll have at least 2 or 3 minutes of stoppage as things currently stand, Andrew. You can tell now there's a little bit more urgency, thinking, hey, can we get a second goal to try and take something out of it as Colton Rouse takes the sting out of that attempted pass by the Utah defender.
And Grant, I've said it once, I'll say it again. The last 10 minutes of every match are so incredibly crucial. If you fall apart, if BYU concedes just one more, that's going to put even more pressure on them to defend that lead. And so at this point in the game, it's on them to disrupt passes, just tiny little ticks of the ball, making sure that we're disrupting the rhythm of the opponent. As that happens, it puts you in a good position. The opposition cannot build a rhythm, and it makes it extremely difficult for them to put the ball in the back of the old onion bag.
Yeah. I miss saying that phrase right now, man. It's been a few minutes.
It has been.
Been about an hour, almost an hour at this point, as we see Fankhauser actually, I spoke a little prematurely as the ball's lifted in before 2 headers are connected by Waldron before the ball is cleared out here by Erickson. As Dunning, not Tetra. I saw number 10. I was used to the last year's number 10. And just missed ball there. That looked like me on alumni night.
Oh yeah, here we go. Tetro, he's in.
Let's see what Tetro's able to do. Wasn't able to get his. He wasn't able to get his body enough between. Good run there. Just not enough execution, unfortunately. So Fankhauser actually is going to be finding his way back on here. Let's see if we can get Cruz in. Look at that. Oh, look at this giant gap up here, though, Das.
Yeah, it's pretty
Cruz
big.
is running just, so flat in his wide movement, just going behind.
Yeah, you could park. Yeah.
24 on Utah is hanging back.
You could park a cruise ship in that gap right there.
Honestly, a mini cruiser. Yeah, you could. So we have an injury up here to the Ute attacker. You feel it when you're not used to this massive surface here at South. You start to feel it. It looks like it might be an abdominal strain. Jolly's readying himself as well along Fankhauser for just under 10 minutes of action as the substitution is underway. Tetro's coming out for Jolly, and then we're going to see James Dunning. Just not been himself tonight in many ways, Das. And Colton Rouse has his own little chant going.
As he tells the crowd, yes, I want to hear more of it.
They say, let's go 4, and he says, give me more. Give me more of that 4.
Given away cheaply there.
But just there, right, recognize it's a 2v2. You're down a man, right? Take the positive touch outside of the right foot. Hate to sound like this mansplainer right now, forgive me. And just get out of pressure. Ball thrown in here to Jolly.
Whew. That one's going to sting a little bit.
Oh, for sure. Ooh, wins the ball, just another foul.
Careless. Fans want a foul. They want a yellow.
Foul, they want a yellow. And I want a goal, baby. I feel like Guima, you know? I don't want a soul, I want a goal.
Speaking of soul, I think we got to get Huntrix in the mix this next week.
I know, I thought that was added to the playlist. Let's see what Cruz is able to do here, just putting this Utah defender under pressure. Well recovered there.
Very well recovered. The fresh legs of the youngster tracking him down. Conejo Malo with the header.
Waldron applying some pressure here. Out right onto the BYU right flank. Cut out by Fank.
Ref says, go, you're not getting an Oscar tonight. Come back tomorrow.
And Jolly just in a great situation right here. Plenty of room in which to operate. Look for that far post.
Oh, there it is, and he's
That's
in.
a ball. Let's see what Jones is able to do here. Plenty of space driving in. Let's see if he has Cruz right at the top. Takes the touch.
Too much.
No, don't foul him though. Don't foul him though, my brother.
Too
Look
much.
at that big man lumbering through on Utah.
Too much diving in there.
Yeah. And Cruz could have done a lot more there. Able to regain possession. Jones unfortunately surrenders possession after getting that ball received from Cruz. Boy, we're putting pressure here on Sanders, who touches it out of play. Just a little bit more decisive and sharper in that moment. That was such a good break. Gonder's going to find himself coming back in as well.
Yeah, Grant, the 3-5-2 really, really working. 3-5-1, sorry. The 3-5-1 really working pretty well to the Cougars' advantage the second half. Had a few times where, maybe they've bent.
Well found there between Erickson and Jolly.
But yeah, I think by and large, Coach Brandon Gillum comes through clutch with a new formation that, adjusts to the flow of the game.
Yeah. As we're seeing Colin Jones leaving the field here, 87th minute for Braden Gonder, the brace hero, and right now the man who has the winner as things stand. That rotation with Alex Fank coming as a right wing back, Gonder back in the center of the park in that more advanced position. Lovely Travella pass there, found.
That's a dangerous ball.
That's a dangerous ball. And we were outnumbered, not even evenly matched numbers-wise. As a high boot comes in, but just casual here from the lads in white and blue. What do you think of the new white and blue strip?
I'm a fan of them. It's different. BYU hasn't had these in a long time.
Yeah, going back to the mid-2010s.
Yeah, quite a long time since we've had them. So overall, I think I'm a fan of them. Good job by the staff to collect these. What about you, Grant?
Yeah, it's a cool debut. This will actually be more of our away strip. With the royal and blue,
yeah,
being our preferred uniform designation. And that's something you don't often see, Jolly being out-headed. But 24 in Utah, the big lumbering lad, he has a good presence. A little bit flat on that attempted through ball from Waldron. Jolly wins possession, goes down on the foul. Should be a foul. I don't know what's going on, but Jolly is just on a tear right now, baby. That should be a foul. I don't know what, you've heard me say this how many times tonight, Doss.
And a great little touch by Frankhauser, just disrupting the flow of the game.
Me with the Frankhauser stuff tonight, my guy.
Something tells me he just likes a good Frank. You know, J-Dogs. He could be a Costco Frank kind of guy.
Hebrew National, baby.
You know, honestly, I think
had my first Hebrew National hot dog, I think, in 2 years.
Really?
Last Saturday.
Yeah,
Last week, yeah.
Yeah, they're pretty solid.
A good shot, just fizzes by the near post. Utah's best look of the second half.
As we
and I'll be
wrapping.
honest, in terms of things in the run of play, their best look in the game.
Yeah, as we are coming up on 90 full minutes. Yeah, that's a good strike, just a little bit off the mark.
Yep. No, we saw that curling. It just didn't curl quite enough for him. But there's some good quality on this Utah team, I'll say.
Yeah, not as much curl as the econ professor, might I say.
Okay,
if you know, you know.
That is some great lore. I have to hand it to you. That was, wow.
Yeah, James.
Take a bow, my son.
James Curl, administration had to tell him to make his test easier so the kids could pass the test.
Isn't that crazy, dude? I don't understand. And see, what I don't understand here is just, how often are we going to have this? The referee's struggling to maintain some control on some of these challenges. Again, Utah wants to dig into it a little bit.
Yeah, especially in the last few minutes, been getting a little bit more chippy. You can't really expect too much. You're up by 2. From Utah, your hopes are pretty much dry at this point.
Look at these ball boys behind the goalie doing headstands.
Gotta love them. Gotta love them. I know. Yet a care in the world.
He's just a magnificent gazelle out of the air.
As they call a foul on it.
As we're here in added time, I didn't see any indication from the referee how much minimum added time we're going to have. It is 4. Thank you. So at least 4 minutes of added time. I imagine we're well into the first minute here.
Ooh. Good body on the ball by the U. Ooh.
Let's see what Cruz see what Oy was able to do here. Just another rash challenge there. Yes. You can see when these guys, start to get that head of steam on the defensive end going for that challenge, and they're just going to take no prisoners. And thankfully, Euler recognized that, not putting his body on the line.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Cerritos, auto square. Cruz coming out for Magleby. It's surely the last substitution of the night by Gillum and the staff here at BYU. Second lowest, we're due for our second lowest opening game. Opening game here at South in quite a few years. The lowest being that 0-0 draw against the U, and we just could not score 2 years ago.
Extremely difficult, very frustrating game for the Cougars back then. I think tonight, Grant, it's been a little bit better than that debut. But yeah, a lot of things the Cougars could work on. As always, there are always things that every team can work on to improve. But, I would say early positioning on the defensive end of things.
Lovely lifted ball in here from Gonder. And a bit of a biff of a clearance here. Fankhauser back on the ball. Oh, and just missed there. Magleby finding the ball here on the corner. Lovely whipped in ball. Rouse off his chest. Jolly posting up, lays it off to Fank. And almost spilled there by the goalkeeper. Yeah, and I think, it goes back to, us being a little bit more defensive philosophically and positionally in our backgrounds, right? Being able to, we're always going to be critical, right, of the defensive follies that we often, that we can display, right? And I think that's a big thing that we really have to look at going forward. The moments in which we let Utah in. Mm-hmm. By hook or by crook, one way or another. It was a very mature second half as full time is blown here at Southfield. Just as a reminder, next week on Friday the 26th, tune in with us either from home or at Southfield as we take on Utah Tech in a new matchup with the boys from deep down south in Washington County coming up to Utah Valley. Folks, great having you with us here in this fall 2025 opener in this 3-1 win BYU Cougars over the University of Utah Utes.
Yes, sir, Grant. Very, very hardly fought by the Cougars. Like we mentioned, a lot of defensive shape, organization, communication that can be improved. By and large, great game. I think the Cougars have a lot to look forward to going into the future.
Absolutely. Cougar fans, signing off for now. We'll see you in 6 days' time. Grant Drivas, Andrew Dossett, have a great weekend.